Hi, I'm Deb from Deb's Design. Today I'm going to strip this shelf unit. Um, I'm going to sand it down and see what's underneath. I would kind of like it just natural color, but depending on what I find, it may not be that. So if that's what I'm going to be working on today. I'm going to put a mask on because when I start sanding, it gets everywhere. I bought this for $12 at a DI in St. George, Utah over the weekend. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use it in the half bath that I'm going to be redoing or not. I'll decide that once I get it kind of where I want it. And then if it doesn't work, I'll get something else and refinish it. That was 240. I want to start out with something a little bit rougher. So I'm going to just start out with a 40 and see if I can't get some paint off. Evidently my mic was not working through this part, so I'll just talk over it. After much sanding, I went to the citrus strip and put that on the shelf, coated it pretty heavily and worked on that, scraping it, and it really had a good finish. It didn't come off all the way even with that. So after scraping and sanding and much sanding, I sanded quite a bit. So I won't show you all of that, but this is the citrus strip that I'm putting on. It says to wait half an hour. I waited probably not even a half hour because I was working in the garage with both doors up, trying to get some ventilation, and but it dried it out pretty quickly in the heat. But it did help a bit. Well, I continued putting more and more citrus strip on there until I was out. Ended up dumping what was left in the container on the shelf and brushed it in, and then try to keep it wet enough that I could peel it or scrape it. Here you see me scraping. I spent a lot of time doing that too, so I won't show you all of it. But it did turn into much more work than what I planned to for such a simple piece. I really thought it would go much smoother. In hindsight, I think I should have just left it the way it was. It was done professionally and very nice. But for once, I decided I just had to see that bare wood. So I did go ahead and continue scraping till I had most of that off. I finally give up on all this mess and go back to my sander. Okay, we're still sanding. I ended up taking this back piece off, which worked out pretty good. This just has some tiny little nails in there, and that way I could sand it and clean it much better than I could attached. So I can still do a little bit more on that, probably in the crevices, but I'm still working on the main piece. So I'll get back to sanding. Okay, we're coming down the finish line on this shelf unit. The way it was originally was flipped upside down. This was the top and the hooks went the other way. I decided that I wanted to use this little shelf, and then I can use this little area down here also. And so I flipped the hooks this way. I only put 2 back on and put a little wooden carving right there in the middle, just added something a little different. And I decided I'm going to leave it, most of it has been cleaned, gotten the paint off, all the mini coats, but I decided that I'm going to leave some of this in the corners and even down on this little shelf and some of the little details to give it a little bit more character and look like some chippy paint. So at this point right here, I'm going to go over it all with a white wax. See if we can get some good details with that. Probably should have done that before I put those back on. But we'll just go around it. A little bit of red still, or orange in it, and I don't really care for that. So I thought if I did the light wax, that would tone it down a bit. I have plans to put this in the little powder room. It's very small. It's just 6 feet by 3 feet. But in the next week, I'm going to be adding some wainscoting or some beadboard to that and wallpapering that little room. And I intend to put this shelf in there. So I'm going to style it at that point. I haven't started that room yet, but I plan to in the next week, and hopefully it won't take me more than a week. We'll see. Depends on how fast wallpaper shows up and that kind of thing. Make that really good in the crevices. I actually like the color that was on here before, but I just really wanted some natural wood showing through too. Okay, the wax seems to be dry, so I'm going to start buffing it. White wax. Like how it blends over the paint that's in the indentions and the crevices here. That's a little bit wet. I might put another coat over this tomorrow. Let it dry overnight and be real sure it's nice and dry. So it's kind of picking up a different bit of orange in there. So I'm excited to try that out though. I thought I've got some little little wooden shoe things that are antique. I thought I could hang, instead of that, maybe, I don't know, candles or wood, something on that. So that's one reason I changed the design of it a little. So that was fun. I'm glad I picked that up at the thrift store. I decided to go ahead and style this shelf so you can see some of the possibilities for it. I have the little antique shoe stretchers right here. Some soap and matches to go with the Kindle here, and some other little antiques and more soap. I think that's going to be a great addition to that little powder room. Remember, look for cool things at your thrift store. And remember, make your home your happy place. Have a great day.